Welcome to Nintendo K Channel. I am Danny. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is perhaps one of the most anticipated games to receive a sequel to the critically acclaimed launch title for Nintendo Switch back in 2017 with Breath of the Wild. Many years have passed since then, and Nintendo had a lot of time to work with Tears of the Kingdom. Adding to an already enormous world from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom introduces new gameplay mechanics and new expanded areas to explore. On the surface, the game's aesthetic certainly looks like its older brethren, but at its core, how does it perform? Courtesy of Nintendo, they provide me Tears of the Kingdom for this frame rate analysis. I will be showing about 7 hours of the game from the beginning as the sample size of this analysis. Keep in mind that the game's target is 30 FPS or frames per second. Starting with the game's introduction, character movements, in-game engine cutscenes, and dialogue, including transitions between them, hits the 30 FPS target essentially all the way. In regards to full motion video action sequences are a solid line. A nice start so far. Link moving through the Room of Awakening and diving into pools of water had no issues to mention. Heading towards the light at the beginning brings us this epic moment experiencing this breathtaking new environment high above the skies. The skydiving sequence ran smoothly throughout the way. The only exception was when closely approaching this body of water where frame rate had a momentary fluctuation. Otherwise, landing into the waters of the Great Sky Island concluded this sequence well, a great showing overall. With Link swimming and eventually getting his footing on land, starting to scavenge for items to use. Walking and running around led to our first construct enemy. Frame rate stayed linear, showing resilience to dynamic character and camera movements, as well as battle action sequences. Here's a bigger stress test, having 3 of these soldier constructs go at it with Link. The game had no issues holding up. Here is a perfect dodge performed with Link finishing off the enemy. His flurry of attacks had no effect on frame rate, a good solid run here. However, a minor dip in frame rate was observed when obtaining enemy items with a pop-up message providing a description of it. With the Great Sky Island being more complex than the last area shown so far, traversing around was an overall smooth experience. With Tears of the Kingdom, Link now have new abilities that open up new gameplay possibilities. There was this segment where I had to build a sliding contraption to help with traversal. Using the Ultra Hand does inflict a strange behavior where there was a clear frame rate deviation where frame time spikes the moment you grab onto an item. It does resolve itself when you move around with it. Interestingly, once I put the 2 boards together and grab onto it making a bridge, the same behavior was observed. To be thorough, I head into a shrine and use the Ultra Hand here again. To my surprise, the performance was flawless this time around. Grabbing onto items and freely moving them around was perfect. Connecting multiple items together was a non-issue. While in the shrine, I had the opportunity to use the new Ascend ability. There was a small dip, but recovered immediately. Nothing to really worry about here. To confirm things, I also tried the Ascend ability on the Great Sky Island, and it seemed to exhibit the same behavior as in the shrine. Now onto using the new Recall ability. Activating it on this rotating platform wheel seems to have no problems holding up, a perfect run here. The last ability I'll be measuring for is Fuse. Gave a shot at fusing this Wing Zonai device to the shield and came up with this crazy new shield. Alright, a change of pace. Taking it to the skies with the same Wing Zonai device, gliding in the air toward my destination was a flawless experience. Here's a cool minecart I put together with the Ultra Hand ability and attached the Fan Zonai device to give it momentum. With that, moving up along the rails to a high elevation and panning the camera posed no issues here. On the ground, frame rate held strong and stable with Link taking a stroll around the open field of Hyrule. The same can be said when going through heavy rain and thunder striking the ground. Shooting high up into the sky to then descend with skydiving and landing in a denser area such as this lookout landing held up equally well. Link strolling through the familiar Kakariko village showed a solid performance all around. Not much to report here, and that is a good thing. Okay, now moving into a new area with a lot of darkness and having a total different flora and fauna from what we've seen so far. Link traversing around with dynamic camera movements stay at a solid 30 FPS. That can also be said when confronting a bunch of enemies here at this settlement. Action was smooth and responsive. The only issue observed was when my weapon shattered, causing the game to drop frame rate slightly, but recovered right away and proceeded as normal. The last part of my analysis will be on this Battle Talus encounter. This will be a stress test for the game since it includes a large enemy and have a bunch of bokoblins on it. To make it more difficult, heavy rain was present as the battle ensues. I'm happy to report that performance was excellent overall and held quite nicely as Link battled his way through. There was a very minor 1 frame drop, certainly not significant to be concerned about. Here is the takeaway from this analysis. The performance of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom successfully hit the 30 FPS target metric. It achieved it in battle scenarios, conversations, cutscenes, action sequences, and others most of the time. It is certainly not flawless, and there may be other performance issues you may encounter in this vast world outside what is shown in this video, but it shouldn't hinder your enjoyment by any means. The game shows an overall solid performance. If you enjoyed Breath of the Wild, your play experience and enjoyment with Tears of the Kingdom should be up there as well. Alright, that's all I have for you on this episode. If you found this analysis informative or helpful and you like the work I do here, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to Nintendo Cave for more performance evaluations like this on upcoming games on Nintendo Switch. I am Danny, and I'll catch you in the next one.